Another patch, another wave of absolute disappointment from the Prydwen GG team on their tier list for Zenless Zone Zero, guys. We finally have the release of the Zenless Zone tier list with the release of YUZUHA being added to the game. And generally from looking at this list, guys, it's telling me one of two things. A, no one at Prydwen really plays Zenless Zone Zero. B, they could give two shits less about Zenless Zone Zero, like most people probably. And three, they're just retarded. So, like, I don't know. I just don't understand what these takes on this tier list. With that being said, though, guys, we're going to drag all of this over to my Excalidraw application. Don't worry, that was my horses. We're going to drag it all over to Excalidraw real quick and really talk about what's going on with this tier list here, guys, because genuinely, there are some things that we have to talk about in this tier list today, starting off with the support tier first. YUZUHA, right, guys? I think YUZUHA deserves to be up here. I think she is hands down the best anomaly supporter in the game, and I do think she is up there with the likes of Astraeal. Now, I will say Astraeal is probably a bit more universal than YUZUHA is in most teams, but she does provide a massive buff to those anomaly type characters, which we absolutely I love to see that. It's really nice that we finally have a designated anomaly buffer, so now you can have one team that's anomaly and one team that's crit based, and then you have her Astraeal up there doing their support there, and then YUZUHA doing her support on her end too. Now, one thing I absolutely massively disagree with, there's absolutely no shot that you have moved Caesar King down to this tier down here with tier 1 and kept Sokaku up here at tier 0.5. And the reason I say that is because literally, guys, Sokaku to me, if we go take a look at what she does here, guys, literally she provides you a 1000 attack buff at max. And if you have the same attribute or faction, she's providing a 20% ice damage increase to whoever has the Fly the Flag buff, which is good. Don't get me wrong. And then she also does ice res as well whenever you start getting increases, right? So, like, she does a decent amount of stuff. But if you take a look at someone like Caesar King, for example, let's go ahead and pull Caesar King up real quick here, guys. First of all, Caesar King gives an on-par attack buff. And this attack buff, while yes, it doesn't translate to your off-field character, sure, it can still be used in dual DPS teams across every character on your team, right? Because the shield will carry over to whoever's on the field, so then you're also shielded as well, which is really nice. You have anti-interrupt while you're in that shield. Also with this too, guys, with her additional ability activated, literally, if an enemy's within a 7-meter radius, you can increase the damage they take from all teammates by 25%, meaning your off-field teammates will do an additional 25% of damage to the enemies as long as you have this debuff on them. A 7-meter radius is not that hard. All you do is hold down her basic attack, she pulls them in, applies the debuff. Not the hardest thing in the world to actually do there, guys. So, to me, overall, she is just bar none better, even if you were to put her in these ice-based teams. Because while you're doing this over here with giving 10% ice res, and then you're also giving a damage bonus as well to your ice, I guess it's a little bit less, right? Because you're giving 20% plus the 10% ice res, right? So 30%. Versus what Caesar King's able to do, which is 1000, plus a 25% vulnerability debuff to the enemies that lasts for 30 seconds that all of your allies can take use of. She's hands down better to me. I think a 25% vulnerability debuff is better than a 20% damage buff to ice damage only, plus a 10% ice res down, right? I think vulnerability is much better in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because this is a much more niche thing. So for this matter, absolutely not. If you're going to have them, you put them on the same tier. You do not correlate both these characters on the same level. Honestly, I would say that Caesar King's probably still up here because I do think Caesar King, in my opinion, is better than Lucy. And a Panda Yoon, I think she's better than Panda Yoon right now because we don't really have many sheer damage damage dealers in the game right now. I just absolutely disagree with this. I think this is an absolutely massively L take right here. She is so much better than what they're saying that she is. I think that her support is overall better. Now, moving on to the rest of the list here, guys. I think Green is in the correct place. I think he's in the correct place, Seth. And I think Ben Biggerton's in the correct place, too. Now, moving on to the next tier. Like I said before, there's no shot that she should be down here. She's the jack of all trades. She provides better buffs than both Trigger has and Lycon has, while also being able to do off-field stuff and aftershock attacks as well. I think she is the better version of Trigger in my opinion. I would be moving her up here because she just provides overall team support. And for Lighter, like I said many of times before, I genuinely think he's over here in the support tier. His breaking capabilities are okay, but I see him much more as a buffer for your team with doing ice damage and fire damage buff and ice and res penetration on the enemies I see that being much more on the buffer side of things than a breaker side of things, and I would have her up here in S tier because I do think that she is the best stun character in the game. Because personally, in my experience, his stun capabilities are not the same, or I think they're less than what she's able to do in terms of stun. So for that matter, we would be moving him over here to the support tier. I've always been saying this, and then move her up. So I mean, everything else here on the list is pretty good to go. Like I think this is all decent right here as well. Now moving into our support tier, I've said it multiple times. I'm not gonna really reiterate this too much. We move her up a little bit. Honestly, with the release of YUZUHA, I could see her being up here even more, or maybe going up even an extra tier. But we won't be doing that for now because this is already a pretty tight race, and I think that YUZUHA genuinely increases the performance of every single one of these characters, or every single one of these anomaly-based characters. So for that matter, what I would be doing with this list here, guys, is I genuinely do think that she does provide a different level here. If anything, I think that YUZUHA last patch, or Miss Yanagi here, should have probably been down here, and with the release of YUZUHA, probably been moved up to tier here. I think this is a pretty safe bet in my opinion, as I would have had her down here at first and then moved her back up for this tier or with YUZUHA's release. But generally, there's not much changes you can make here, but now we can move over to the tier 0 category, or this new DPS category, right? I think she literally is going to be elevating every single anomaly character, so both these characters move up in my opinion. I don't think there's any shot that they do not move up at least one tier, right? I don't think they get up here to tier 0.5, but I think both Piper and Jane Doe move up a tier with the release of YUZUHA. I think she provides a lot of support for those teams. I genuinely think she elevates every single anomaly character, and that's something you guys are going to be mad at, as I mentioned in my last tier list video. Yo, no, she moves down here, bro. She requires way too much, and I think if you're playing Mr. Harumasa here at the expert level, he would be up here. I think that you swap the places of Harumasa and Julian normally. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this, and the reason I'm going to subtract this, kind of pump fake you a little bit here, is because of the fact that we really don't have many enemies that are weak to lightning right now in the in-game. So for that matter, we're going to keep both of them on the same level. When we have more lightning weak enemies, then he'd be moving up, but as of right now, I think this is pretty good, right? I guess if we're comparing him on the expert tier, then he moves up a tier. When you're playing him expertly, then sure, this is fine. Ellen Joe here, I think that's fine. I think that she is suffering right now. I think that Silver Soldier Ambi is also suffering in the current meta, or the current content, because of the fact that there's not really any shock persistent enemies, or enemies you can really shock too well. So for that, I mean, we'll leave her there for now, but now on to the really big take, guys. Guys are not going to agree with this. I think right now we move use one down, guys. She is good. She is good. She is G-O-O-D. Actually, take that back. Retract a little bit. What I'm actually going to do, or what I would say is, expertly played, I think Yi Xuan moves up above here, right? That's what I originally said. Now what I think is we can leave her down here if she's not expertly played, but I think with the release of YUZUHA, you move her up here. I think Yi Xuan is on this same tier 0 or tier 0.5. That's what I would do, guys. So we would actually be moving basically every one of these characters down a tier. Basically, but I do think that YUZUHA actually shifts up the meta that much. I'd be moving every tier down a tier, or every character down one tier, and then we'd be moving Yi Xuan down one tier, and then having Miyabi up here, because we have Panda Yoon, right, which helps out with sheer damage, but we don't have like a dedicated buffer for Yi Xuan right now. But now we do have a dedicated buffer for Miyabi, and that makes Miyabi pop off even more than before. Honestly, it's been so much easier to clear with Miyabi now, even though I don't have her signature W engine. With YUZUHA on the team, it's absolutely been unreal, but this is the changes I would make here. I just think it's lazy. They didn't make hardly any changes when I think there's plenty of changes that can be made. I just don't think they play the game that much. And now I'm not going to sit here and say that I play the game all the time. I play the game, you know, maybe 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I do not play this game every day. Sometimes I play the game 2 days a week, right? I get in, I do my in-game content, and then I get out. I sometimes do the event when they're out, and that's about it. But generally, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to tell you how good a character is, right? Or how good characters should be, and I just think it's an act of laziness, or maybe retardation. I don't know what it is, guys, but maybe leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Why has Prydwen been skipping out on the Zenless Zone Zero tier list? What do you think it is? What do you think of this lack of carelessness is? I think, honestly, it's just disappointing. Like, this is obviously one of the worst tier lists we've seen, but it's just disappointing. This is the most disappointing tier list I've ever seen. It's a very wimpy excuse for a tier list, and please do better, Prydwen. I need more content. The more you guys can do this, the more content I have. I'm begging you, please, Prydwen, and if you guys don't want to see me cry, hit that subscribe button right now. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below and your prayers. I'll see you in the next one. Later, bye.